We're not finished. Sorry.
We have one more thing, don't we?
We have two more proposed local laws that we are introducing tonight. They are connected to the adoption of the civil service title of fire commissioner by the Civil Service Commission. So that title has been duly adopted by the Civil Service Commission, and now we need to work on implementing and integrating that title into the city's organizational structure. So there are to start with, there are two chapters, one in the charter, one in the code, that address the fire department. And so these local laws apply to amend the city charter Article 12, which is Department of Fire. And so we will be adding the fire commissioner, which would be the department head, and then making the language consistent with the way the charter is phrased for the other departments. So we'll have the fire commissioner, the fire chief, and other ranks and members in the department as the city usually provides by civil service law and budget adoption. We've added the title to the chapter. We've renumbered and kept the fire chief position in there. We've kept the same bureaus of the fire department, the Co-Compliance Bureau, Bureau of Fire Prevention, and the ability to issue the appearance tickets. So those are the main changes to proposed for the charter. And then also in the city code, chapter 42, there is a chapter called Fire Department. The changes here are a little bit more significant, mostly because the chapter here includes duties and responsibilities that primarily with the adoption of the civil service law and rules, and with the adoption of the Taylor law and collective bargaining agreements, most of the provisions of this chapter of the code are now governed by in other fora. So job descriptions and duties and responsibilities are now in their duly adopted civil service job titles. The conditions of employment and some of the other concepts that are in chapter 42 are addressed in the collective bargaining agreement and the fire department's rules and regulations, which have been duly negotiated. So we've streamlined this chapter as well to incorporate the new title and to make some housekeeping changes that will streamline the chapter. We did the similar we did similar proposals for the charter and the code when the city adopted the title of police commissioner. So your action items on both of these items on Monday will be to pass the resolution scheduling the public hearings for February 27th. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take those as well.
Councilman Grice.
So this goes back to something that I said, and I think Councilmember Monteverde and a few others, and I'm sorry if I got that part wrong. For this, there are going to be some predictable comments that or questions that are going to be made. So I think it's going to be very important that we are clear with the community and, all of those interested parties about why this is coming about. Is it a person that has gone through the firefighting ranks? Is it an actual firefighter that can apply? Why this and why not staffing or some of those other things, or some of the, just off the top of my head, some of the predictable things that I think are going to come up. So I think it's going to be very, very important, especially because this issue deals with public safety and there has been some misinformation that has been put out to the public. I think it's going to be very important that we really be super, super clear and over communicate on this. And for the rest, I'll just wait until the public comment.
Councilmember Martinez. No. Councilmember Monteverde.
Yeah, I support this. I know that a long time ago, the mayor recommended this, and I think at the time, there was just so much happening, and we had many challenges, and I was newly elected and really did not understand it. But now I clearly understand the need for this. It obviously has worked out great with the police department having the commissioner, and this makes total sense to me now. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shakur,
I agree with both of them. No comment.
Councilmember Sklar,
Under compensation, section 42.7, the word paid is crossed off. What should we read into that? Paid fire department.
So in looking at this chapter, it appears to me that several decades ago, and sometime in the last century, the city of Newburgh had a fire department that looked very different, that there were companies, that there were paid firefighters, there may have even been volunteer. I have not done a deep dive into it, but once the city has moved into the paid firefighter role, we have a bargaining unit, we have a union representative, and we have the Taylor law. It appears that that word has become unnecessary because all members of the fire department shall receive such compensation that shall be fixed by either local law or the council. So under the Taylor law, we bargain collectively for their compensation. Once we reach an agreement, that agreement comes to the council for approval. So I'm not changing that in any fashion, but I do think that probably earlier than the 1950s, there were all of the departments in the city were organized in a different way. And as changes occurred, I'm not sure that all of the chapters of the code and the charter were amended and adopted as carefully and as consistently as they could have been. So I don't think I don't think you should read that much into it. I just, in going back and looking through the old council minutes, I mean, if you look at the article, if you look at the local law that addresses Article 12 of the charter, at some point that article had both the police department, the fire department, and the health department. So long before we had county government and a state health department, there must have been some type of city department that had some jurisdiction over health and human services. And it looks like, if I go back far enough, when I was revising the charter to address the the police commissioner position, it looked like in the 70s and the 80s, the charter was altered, and the police department was given its own separate article in the charter. That's why, but nobody ever took out the references to the health department, and nobody modified the terms that addressed the fire department, even though probably by the 70s and definitely by the 80s, you had a fully paid fire department like we do today. So again, trying to streamline, take out things that really don't apply anymore, that are not going to, that shouldn't really be controversial, because those these items are clearly addressed by superseding state laws and regulations.
So some people may interpret the deletion of the word paid to indicate that we're opening the door to accepting volunteers. That's not our intent.
So let me say for the record and for the 900th time, that the city has a fully paid fire department. Under no circumstances could the city unilaterally engage volunteers. That would be a violation of the Taylor Law and a violation of the city's collective bargaining agreement. In the same way, shape, or form, we may propose those types of proposals in our collective negotiations, but the city cannot unilaterally implement volunteers in our current fire department under current law, rule, and regulation.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Good job. No comment.
If no other comments on these two items, do we have a motion to go into executive session? Second, anyone abstain or object? All right, thank you.